Welcome to sakshieducation.com. I, Dr. Thamma Kotireddy, Professor in Economics at IBS Hyderabad. Now I am going to deliver a lecture on Indian economy, progress and prospects. This lecture will particularly focus upon number 1, the structural changes in Indian economy since independence. Number 2, the progress of the Indian economy since independence. Number 3, strategies to accelerate economic development in the country. See, as far as the socio-economic development is concerned, socio-economic development is the process of social and economic development in a society, and it is measured with indicators such as gross domestic product, life expectancy, literacy, levels of employment and trade composition. During British rule, there was hardly any economic development. Only less than 1/6 of the people during the British rule are literates in India. The per capita income was estimated at rupees 20 at current prices in 86-87. The constant per capita income over a long period, widespread poverty, increasing dependence of population on agriculture, the traditional methods of cultivation, high frequency of famines, decline in handicrafts and inadequate infrastructure are clearly the proofs of economic underdevelopment during the British rule. According to Cambridge historian Madison, India's share in the world income has declined from 22.6% in 1700 to 3.8% in 1952. So, compared to 1700, by 1952, the India's share in the world income has declined considerably. The former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh described the Indian economy as the brightest jewel in the British crown was the poorest country in the world in terms of per capita income at the beginning of 20th century. After independence, the planning for economic development is undertaken to achieve the long-term objectives of economic growth, self-sufficiency, removal of unemployment, elimination of poverty, inclusive and sustainability of growth, modernization and reduction in income inequalities. To improve the supply side of the economy, comprehensive liberalization measures have been undertaken since July 1991. Among the liberalization measures, the most important are: number 1, industrial deregulation; number 2, disinvestment and public enterprises reforms; number 3, trade and capital flows reforms; and number 4, financial sector reforms. In the light of these developments, Indian economy has witnessed significant changes in its economic structure since independence. Now we will have a discussion on the significant changes taken place in Indian economy since independence. As far as the structural changes are concerned, number 1, an important index of development is a steady decline in the importance of agriculture and allied activities in the economy in terms of its sectoral contribution to GDP. So, in terms of contribution to GDP, agriculture and allied sector share has come down drastically. In 1950-51, the agriculture and allied sector alone contributed 51.9% to GDP. By 2020-21, its contribution has come down to 19.9%. So, from this we can say the contribution of agriculture and allied to GDP has declined during the period of economic planning, and while the contribution of remaining two sectors, that is industrial sector and service sector, has gone up, and it is considered as one of the important structural changes that was taken place in Indian economy since independence. Number 2, we have witnessed a slow change in employment structure since independence. As far as agriculture sector is concerned, the share of agriculture and allied in the employment has declined from 72.1% in 1951 to 48.9% by 2011-12. And the share of industry in employment raised from 10.6% in 1951 to 24.4% by 2011-12. And at the same time, the share of service sector in employment also increased from 17.3% to 26.7%. Number 3, we have seen remarkable progress in terms of social overhead. As far as the social overhead capital is concerned, the transport, irrigation, energy, education system and health system contributed for favorable growth and also for human development. As far as the industrialization is concerned, we have come up with heavy industrialization strategy during the second 5-year plan. The second 5-year plan was in force from 1956 to 1961. The heavy industrialization strategy that was adopted during the second 5-year plan was continued for a long time. So as a result, Indian economy was able to set up the basic industries which produce capital equipment and useful raw materials. And at the same time, the economy also witnessed a radical change in the credit policy of the banks as more funds were made available to the priority sector. The priority sector is nothing but agriculture, small scale industry, rural artisans. So such people have been benefited through the credit policy of the banks, and it is also considered as one of the structural changes. And at the same time, as far as the composition and direction of trade is concerned, significant changes have taken place in both the composition and direction of trade since independence. Before the advent of planning, jute, tea, cotton, manganese, ore and mica are the important export item from India. And on the other hand, manufactured products constituted the bulk of imports at the time of independence. But since independence, we have seen remarkable progress in terms of composition of both exports and imports. Now at present, we are able to export more manufactured products, and manufactured products accounted for major share in the total exports, followed by agriculture and allied products and petroleum products. On the other hand, petroleum and oil lubricants, capital goods constituted the bulk of imports as far as Indian economy is concerned since 1991. So from this we can say we have seen remarkable progress as far as the composition of trade is concerned. And as far as the direction of the trade is concerned, till 1991, USSR, that is Russia, was emerged as the largest trading partner with India. After the collapse of USSR, America became the largest trading partner with India till 2007-8. Due to American crisis in 2008-9, the trade relations with America got disturbed. So as a result, in the recent years, China, Singapore, South Korea, Malaysia, United Arab Emirates, Indonesia and Switzerland were emerged as the important trading partners of India. Recently, the UK Department of International Trade has come up with Global Trade Outlook. According to Global Trade Outlook published by UK Department of International Trade in September 2021, India will become the world's third largest importer by 2050 with a share of 5.9% of global imports, right behind China and America. At present, India is ranked 8th among the largest importing nations with a 2.8% import share and is set to become 4th largest importing nation by 2030. So here we can say, according to this report, India will become the world's third largest importer by 2050 with a share of 5.9% of global imports, right behind China and America. So India would occupy third place by 2050 in the ranking of world's largest economies, just behind China and America with a share of 6.8% in global GDP. These are the main highlights of this report published in September 2021. See, as far as the second aspect of today's my lecture is concerned, the socio-economic development in India as because of the various efforts of the government. So, as because of various efforts of the government, substantial progress has been achieved in terms of GDP growth, growth in per capita income, the growth in various sectors of the economy, and the growth in consumption expenditure, and the growth in infrastructure activities. See, as far as the progress is concerned, at present, just now we can say take the growth in gross domestic product. The gross domestic product in 1950-51 at a 2004-5 price, that is at constant price, was estimated at 2.7 lakh crores. But now by 2020-21, the GDP at constant price has reached to 135 lakh crores. So from this we can say we have achieved remarkable progress as far as increasing gross domestic product is concerned. Since 1991, see, the GDP has been increased for about 10 times. So at the same time, we have seen remarkable progress in terms of per capita income also. First, at the beginning, once we observe the GDP growth, from 1950 to 1965, annual average growth was estimated at 4%. From 1967 to 1980, the average growth rate declined marginally and stood at 3.45%. However, the decade of 1980s, which witnessed improvement in agriculture sector, mining and manufacturing sector, service sector, and export sector, has resulted in 5.46% per annum. So from this we can say during 1980s, the GDP growth rate was accelerated. During 1980s, Indian economy was able to achieve 5.46% of growth per annum. The economies in the East, Southeast Asia have transformed themselves within a generation. But the Indian economy has witnessed substantial transformation over 30 years since 1991 with an average annual growth of 6.5%. See, next to the growth in GDP, now we will examine the growth in the per capita income. As compared to growth in net national product, a rise in per capita income is considered to be a better index of the growth. In 1950-51, India's per capita income at a 2004 price, 4-5 price, was at 7,513 rupees, and it increased to 41,255 rupees in 2011-12. The per capita income at a rate was registered at 5.9% per annum in the 10th 5-year plan, and in the 11th 5-year plan, the annual growth in per capita income was 6%, and in the 12th 5-year plan, that is from 2012 to 2017, the average annual growth in per capita income was registered at 5.3%. Now at present, the per capita income at 2011-12 prices during 2020-21 is estimated at 86,659 rupees. Recently, the World Bank has come out with World Economic Outlook. According to International Monetary Fund World Economic Outlook, the GDP per capita of India in 2020-21 is projected at $2,191 at current prices. The next one, as far as household consumption expenditure is concerned, since independence, we have seen substantial progress in terms of the growth in household consumption expenditure. India's household spending contracted 9.3% in 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic. The Fitch Solutions said total household spending in 2021 in real terms is forecast to touch 72.6 trillion rupees, below the 2019 pre-pandemic level of 73.5 trillion rupees. So in 2019, the entire household consumption expenditure in India was estimated as 73.5 trillion rupees. But in 2021, the entire household consumption expenditure is estimated at 72.6 trillion rupees. So compared to 2009, in 2021, the household consumption expenditure is estimated at low due to COVID-19 pandemic. However, since independence, we have seen remarkable progress as far as the rise in household consumption expenditure is concerned. And at the same time, the poor consumer demand has impacted credit growth in both 2000 and 2001. So due to COVID-19 pandemic, the consumer demand for various durable commodities has come down. So as a result, we have seen the low growth as far as the credit is concerned. So the poor consumer demand has impacted credit growth in both 2000 and 2001 as people postponed their non-essential spending. And since 1991, the rapid economic growth. So far we have seen the growth in GDP and growth in per capita income and growth in household consumption expenditure. And from this, just here we can observe that economy has achieved spectacular growth since independence. So at the same time, compared to pre-reform period, during the post-reform period, the economic growth rate was accelerated. As a result, we have witnessed sharp reduction in the extreme poverty in the economy. The people below the poverty line was estimated at 54.9% in 1973-74. But by 93-94, the population below the poverty line was declined to 36%. So compared to pre-reform period, during the post-reform period, the population below the poverty line has come down, and in 2011-12, according to Planning Commission, 21.9% of the people lived below the poverty line in 2011-12. According to Suresh Tendulkar Committee, the population below the poverty line in India was 29.6% in 2009-10 and 21.9% in 2011-12. And according to Rangarajan Committee, population below the poverty line was 29.5% in 2011-12. So from this we can say the rapid economic growth during the post-reform period has contributed for a sharp reduction in extreme poverty in the country. Over the past decade, a number of startups have grown across India as young entrepreneurs experiment with ideas in digital payments, online retail, on-demand delivery, education and software. The rise of startups has created a new ecosystem of angel and venture funding and incubators and accelerators, as well as new pattern of consumption in the society. The government has recognized 41,061 startups as of December 2020. Of this, 39,000 startups have provided employment opportunities for 4,70,000 people. The Government of India has taken several measures to support startups, including broadening the definition of startups, simplifying the regulations, providing income tax concessions, and setting up of 10,000 crore fund of funds for startup operated by the SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank of India. And at the same time, as far as the agriculture front is concerned, we have observed remarkable progress as far as the food grain production is concerned. India has achieved self-sufficiency in terms of food grain production. The food grain production, which stood at 54.92 million tons in 1950, has grown to 305.44 million tons by 2020-21. So we have achieved self-sufficiency in case of food grain production, and more land has been brought under irrigation facilities. At the same time, we have also seen substantial progress as far as the commercial crops and plantation crops production is concerned. According to Bank of America, India is now the 6th largest economy in terms of nominal GDP, and it is expected to become 3rd largest economy by 2031. And as far as the forex reserves are concerned, India's forex reserves stood at a meager 1,029 crore rupees in 1950-51. But as of October 1st, 2021, the forex reserves have reached to $637.477 billion. So we have seen the progress in terms of maintaining more forex reserves. And as far as the road network is concerned, India's road network is 2nd largest in the world. At the time of independence, that is in 1950-51, India had 0.4 million kilometers of roadways. So the roadways have grown to 6.4 million kilometers in 2021. This is nearly 16-fold rise in the total length of roadways, making India's road network the second largest in the world. And at the same time, India is among the fifth largest producer of electricity in the world. Electricity generation capacity has increased from 1,362 megawatts in 1947 to 1,13,506 megawatts in 2004 and further to 1,598 terawatt hour by 2019-20. So here we have seen India is among the fifth largest producers of electricity in the world. By 2018-19, the power generation capacity has reached to 1,598 terawatt hour by 2019-20. According to the Ministry of Power, only 3,061 villages had access to electricity in 1950. By 2018, all of the Indian villages in total had been electrified. So as far as the foreign direct investment is concerned, in 1948, total foreign investment in India stood at 256 crores. Before 1991, there were more restrictions on foreign direct investment inflows, and we have allowed 40% of foreign direct investment in Indian industries with government approval till 1991. But in the era of globalization, that is during the reform period, we have removed restrictions on foreign direct investments, and foreign direct investment inflows have been increased tremendously during the post-reform period. And we are also allowing 100% foreign direct investment in case of energy products and energy projects, 100% export-oriented units and infrastructure projects and other strategic industries also. And at the same time, with government approval, 74% of foreign direct investments will be allowed in banking, biotechnology, defense, healthcare and pharma industry. So after independence, India has several achievements to its credit, and it has become the second fastest growing economy in the world, and we have removed restrictions on exports and imports, and at the same time we have opened up our trade account and current account. We have partially opened up the capital account, and at the same time the Indian economy has become a service oriented economy. So at the same time, after independence, in its 74 years of independence, India has become a space and nuclear power and developed a robust foreign policy. Now, India has become a space and a nuclear power and developed a robust foreign policy. The pace of highway construction in the country touched a record of 37 kilometers per day in 2020-21. As far as the health indicators are concerned, so after independence, the health indicators have been improved, and now as far as the under 5 mortality rate is concerned, India's under 5 mortality fell from over 26% during 1950s to 3.4% in 2019. The life expectancy has been increased from 33.94 years in 1950 to 69.27 years in 2020. So particularly during the reform period, numerous foreign companies are setting up their facilities in India on account of government initiatives like Make in India and Digital India. Under Make in India initiative, government is trying to boost the contribution of manufacturing sector to GDP by 25%. And we aim at the contribution of manufacturing sector should reach to 25% of GDP, but at present manufacturing sector is contributing 17% to GDP of the country. We aim at 25% by 2030. And at the same time, the Digital India focused on 3 core components, that is the creation of digital infrastructure, delivering the services digitally, and to increase the digital literacy. These are the 3 core components of Digital India. Number 1, creation of digital infrastructure. Number 2, delivering services digitally. Number 3, increase the digital literacy. Now, as far as the third important aspect of my today's lecture is concerned, the strategies to accelerate socio-economic development in the country. As far as the strategies are concerned, now just I would like to highlight that development process in India is different than South Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan and China. The development in India is a spatial dimension, and the issues of development in India has been highly politicized and resulted in very little success. South Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan and China have all been well ahead of India in many social aspects. As because of development in social aspects, it has become easier for these countries to make use of economic opportunities offered by expansion of the markets. So it clearly reflects that there is a need to invest heavily on the social development. Once economy achieves human development, all underutilized resources will be exploited to the maximum extent. As a result, economic growth rate will be accelerated. Number 2, the basic objective of development should focus on expansion of human capabilities, which has been neglected for a long time in India. And we have to focus more on expansion of human capabilities. And as I mentioned here, the expansion of human capabilities have been neglected over a long period of time in India. So we need to focus more on expanding the human capabilities. Recently, Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant has opined sustained economic growth is the key to India's future. He opined investment and sustained growth are crucial for security reasons. And at the same time, he stressed the need for larger role of the private sector in the economic system to accelerate the India's economic growth. The next one, see, we wanted to achieve self-sufficiency in Indian economy, because already we have taken self-sufficiency as one of the long-term objectives of economic planning. So here, but I would like to say self-sufficiency in India is not about protectionism. It is about penetrating the global markets. And as far as the sunrise industries are concerned, we expect the sunrise industries play a major role in India's future growth. And at the same time, the government should create sustainable economic conditions by promoting acceptable living standards, improving the urban infrastructure, focusing on the manufacturing, harnessing the technology for India's growth, and unlocking the potentiality of women. So government should create a conducive environment for sustainable economic conditions by promoting acceptable living standards, improving the urban infrastructure, focusing on manufacturing, harnessing the technology for industrial growth, and at the same time unlocking the potential of women. And the Indian coastal areas should utilize the vast oceanic resources the country possesses. We have more resources. These coastal areas are required to utilize the vast oceanic resources the country possesses, as the blue economy offers extensive socio-economic opportunity. It aids the production of goods and services that have clear linkages with economic growth, environmental sustainability and national security. The next strategy that I would like to suggest, the importance of the agro-processing industries in the economy. Here, as far as Indian economy is concerned, nearly 68% of the people live in rural areas, of which 70% of the people depend on agriculture alone. Though India is one of the largest producers of fruits and vegetables, only 4% of the produce is processed. In comparison, China processes 23% of its produce, Indonesia 50% and Brazil 70%. So here, technology infusion, sustainable practice of produce, storage and logistics can make India the food capital of the world. The next strategy that I would like to suggest, the foreign direct investment led ecosystem needs to be facilitated, enabling technology transfer and introducing incentives on attained merits to reduce the trade deficits. Now, both the central government and state governments are experiencing severe financial crisis. So, at this juncture, the debt sustainability assumes significance. In order to achieve debt sustainability, there is a need to focus more on raising the gross domestic product. In order to raise the gross domestic product, both the central government and state government should come up with appropriate policies. So, appropriate policies are required to be designed in order to accelerate the growth process in the economy. And given the limitations of government funding, on one hand, the government expenditure is rising, but on the other hand, government unable to mobilize adequate resources to meet the growing expenditure. As a result, both the central government and the state governments depends heavily on borrowings. As a result, both the central government and state government are experiencing severe fiscal deficit. And government also unable to invest heavily on the basic infrastructure. So, at the outset, there is a need to promote the public-private partnership models with secure returns to private investors. So, as a result, because of innovative PPP models, the investments would rise in the economy. To make India's roots stronger, education and health needs the desired attention in the next decade. So, as I mentioned earlier, there is a need to invest heavily in the human development. In human development, education and the health sectors plays a major role. To make India's roots stronger, education and health systems should be given more priority in the next decade. Affordable internet connectivity and technology based infrastructure would enhance the education sector. Affordable internet connectivity and technology based infrastructure would enhance the education sector. At the end, I would like to say sustainable livelihood and equity could help the country to emerge stronger and better. Thank you all for your time and your attention. Thank you.